Hey, it's your girl Angie here, and I just want to tell you quickly this interview, wow, I learned so much. It is epic. We're going to be talking about a narcissistic behaviors. He has come up with about 17, 18 characteristics that he learned on his own. Listen to the story and listen to these characteristics. Hey, in fact, click the link below, get a free copy of all these characteristics so that you can learn yourself. Now, I just want to tell you quickly, these books are paramount. All right, 365, there is a series, 365 stimulating questions for Christian married couples. And then there's one for deep dive for dating, engaging questions for engaged couples, and then soul searching questions for singles out there. Now listen, go straight to the end because it is so paramount. And then listen to part two because he finishes off all the characteristics, explains them in detail, and then he gives you the secret formula of how they operate. You don't want to miss this episode or the next one. I'll see you. One, I have a special guest with me today. His name is Paul Wisdom. I love his last name, Wisdom. Don't we need that? And so this special guest, he has a lot to say about a relationship that was epic. It really had a turning point in his life. He learned a lot. And so on Serving Purpose podcast, we are going to start off with a bang. Paul, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So we met at a park at a special event, did we not?
Yes, camp meeting of this
Yeah,
year.
yeah. And we just started talking, and here we are. Here we are. And the message that
That's
you have to tell me today, how did you meet a particular person? What happened?
yeah. We met in 2015. I was going to get my car fixed at a dealership, and when I was there, I had saw this person who was just a normal person, just normal everyday, going about your day, and she was conversating with a couple of other folks. And then how it came to me meeting her was I was interested in the conversation, so I joined in. Then I put my 2 cents in, asked a few questions, and then I saw her sitting on the other side. So I I moved myself over. I walked over and I joined her and I said, I see that you're doing some stuff over here. What are you doing? And she said, I'm just doing some homework. I'm doing an assignment for school. I was like, okay, beautiful. And so I just want to go through it quick because of the time. I asked her what she's doing with her life, and she had told me she was studying at a college that I was also studying at. So I mean that was
So
really
you're in your
interesting. It's
20s, basically. You're in
yeah.
your 20s. Yeah, and this was an attraction that's going on here.
Yes, yes. And so we were there and we just started getting to know each other, asking each other questions like, how old are you? How many siblings do you have? Connection. And I later, jumping ahead a little bit, came to find out that she actually told me that that specific scheduled appointment, car appointment that she was supposed to go to, that she met me at, because she said that that appointment, what she wasn't actually supposed to go to that appointment. It was like a rescheduled appointment, and so she went. It was actually a reschedule that was canceled, and so she believes that God actually brought her to me, and I thought that was really interesting.
Okay, all
So
right, all right.
so
A divine connection here. Okay.
yes.
Cool.
And so we got to know each other, asked her a few questions, and then fast forward, it was time for me to go. So I was time for me to leave. I told her I gotta go, and she said, take my number down. And I was like, okay, for sure, for sure. Well, so I did that, and then we got to know each other a little bit more. She started messaging good morning to me every single day, and I felt like, oh, this is really interesting. I've never been in a relationship like this where somebody messages me good morning, every single day. I was just like, wow. And it feels like it's going
So
like we're
she's
connecting.
pursuing you then. She's pursuing
Yeah.
you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was like, wow, this is really going. And I was like, the connection's good. I feel like this is somebody who we're quite similar. We have similarities. And I was sort of smiling at myself. I was like, wow, maybe I have found my match. And so, I started praying to God. I was like, God, I met this girl, and after a while we started to get to know each other. And then at one point, I had explained to her that, I worship on Saturdays. I go to church on Saturdays. That's always been a part of me, being a Seventh-day Adventist Christian. And then what she had said to me after we had gotten to know each other for I think about 2 or 3 months, what she had said was that, because she wasn't a regular church goer like I was, but she did grow up in a household where there was religion involved. I thought that, okay, this could potentially be an opportunity God is using me for to help sort of change someone's life. And so it was really interesting because she then said to me, you know what, if going to church is really important to you, then I want to be a part of that. That's what she said to me in text
Okay,
one night. And I was
all
like,
right, that's
okay,
good.
that's great. This is great. Wow. It seems like all my things are getting everything I'm getting it. And then so months and years go by. We start getting to know each other. We ended up graduating from college in the same year, so that was another thing. I got to meet her family, her parents, her brother, her sister. Every relationship, no relationship is perfect. You're gonna have difficulties. You're gonna have good days. You're gonna have bad days. So I
Exactly.
just thought, okay, that's okay. That it's just a part of life. And the other thing I attributed it to was that I saw some things that were sort of weird at
Mhm.
times. God will work it out as He does everything. He'll teach me, I'll learn, and I'll
Right.
continue to move forward in life. So, I continued moving forward in this relationship. We dated for 5 years. And, though I saw some
That's
things
long.
that were
Well,
quite
that's
strange.
because you dated during your school year. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. In Brampton, I proposed to her, and then I told her how much I loved her, how much she has a good heart, and that's someone I'm looking for in my life, someone with a big heart, someone who cares. And then I proposed to her. I popped the question. I was nervous. Of course, every guy's going to be nervous. What guy's not nervous when they propose? And so I proposed, and
Oh,
she said yes to me, and then that was great.
yeah.
And then after that, I noticed that things started to take a turn. And when I say take a
Oh,
turn, what I'm talking about is that things started getting the strangeness that I was experiencing in the 5 years. It
right.
started to peak out just a little bit more. And
Or
what I mean
intensify.
by that,
Yeah.
hmm?
Intensify.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it started to intensify. So what I'm referring to by that is what started happening was that when months later, I started seeing some strange things. Like, for example, she started giving me the silent treatment days on end. I started, when we would talk on the phone, there was and the thing is, here's the thing, I can understand this just because when you're going through the engagement period to be married, that's a very, very difficult
Yeah.
time.
It can be
It's very
stressful.
hard because it can be really stressful. And so I attributed that to, okay, maybe it's the engagement period. Maybe she's just, going through some stuff in her head because women process these things a little differently than men. Men, we just
Right.
go with it.
Right.
Women, they have a whole bunch of emotions going on. So I was like, okay, this is maybe she just
You
has
never
some
know.
things to
Men have
figure out.
emotions too, right? They do.
Yeah,
They do.
yeah, absolutely. But what had happened was that so there was a moment when we were together, we were just spending time together months after we got engaged, and then she was just in her feelings, and then she was just there. She it's I sensed that something was wrong, but I just didn't want to come out and say, is there something wrong, because I didn't want to make it seem like I was coming down on her, because especially because it's the engagement period, we want to, calm her. I want to do the right thing and calm down and just take it easy, right? And so, that's when I was like, huh, something is that doesn't seem right. But I attributed it again to the fact that, okay, nobody's perfect. It's just the engagement period. You're going to make it through this. Everything's going to be all right.
And what
And the
you
other
should
thing,
have done is that you really should have dissected that, because then you would
hmm,
have found out more stuff rather than
yeah,
just justifying it all the time. Oh, well,
yeah,
maybe it's that, maybe it's that.
yeah,
But that could have opened up some doors that maybe you didn't want to
hmm,
open, that should have been open.
hmm.
You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yes, yes. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So what had happened was that after that, before we had gotten married, actually married, during the engagement period, we did premarital counseling with my pastor at my church. And when we did this premarital counseling, it was actually a pretty good session. And I'm never gonna forget this. The first session that we did, pastor said, how would you rate your partner? How would you rate Paul on a scale of 1 to 10? And her answer was, I would say 15 out of 10. And then we just started laughing out loud. We were laughing because we were like, "Oh my gosh, that's hilarious!" Because usually people they're honest. They say, like it's a scale of 1 to 10, so you'd rate on the scale of 1 to 10.
Yeah,
And
like
then
8 or something. You know what I mean? Like who's 15? I
yeah,
wish I was 15.
yeah, yeah. And then Pastor looks at me and he says, Paul, what about you? What would you rate her on a scale of 1 to 10? And then I was like, my answer is I would say that if we're gonna be honest, I would say a 7 out of 10. And then she would and then she to be honest, because you want on a 1 to 10, I would say 7. Then she was like, what? And then she looks over at me and I'm just like, babe, I'm just being honest. I believe that nobody's perfect. We're not all perfect. And I believe that we all have some growing to do. And I just kept it at that. I kept it, proper. Okay. And so we went to premarital counseling. We started going to these sessions. We started learning about each other and marriage and expectations. And one of the things my pastor told us is that, do you want to know one of the reasons why divorces happen? And we were guessing, we gave our guesses, and then pastor said most divorces happen because people um people fail to accept that they actually need to get help. They say they don't like getting help when they actually need it. They wait, and
Right.
then before you know it, it's too late to
Wow.
actually get that help. They
Wow,
push the help
that's a
away.
pivotal point because
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah,
people, like we all have problems, right? And it's
sure.
important to find the problem early and
Mhm.
rectify it and get rid of it before you walk down the aisle. I think that would be
Absolutely,
right, that you work on it together,
absolutely.
right? And of course, praying about it together. So that's a pivotal point. I will definitely keep note on that one.
Yeah, so that was interesting to both of us because we were actually both we were both a little shocked by this because many times people say the reasons for divorce is because of money, because of communication, and those are important. But and I actually thought about what he said myself, and it
Right,
makes sense because a lot of times people can be stubborn and then they say, "Oh, I don't need any help. You can't tell me what to do." And then when
right,
things fall apart,
right.
they only have so much people they can blame,
Right,
right?
and then they don't want to make the change or the because we all have some kind of habit that we need to change. At least one.
Absolutely.
Some of us have more, way more than one. 5, 10 habits. Oh, mercy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So we went to premarital counseling, and then after that, I asked Pastor if he could actually send me the results for the counseling. Are we a compatible couple? Are we good for marriage? Can we move forward? I just wanted to be confident that I was making the right move and that we were making the right move. And then so he what he had told me, and this was interesting for me, was he said, so here's the thing when it comes down to it, what the compatibility found was that you guys are really strong with conflict resolution skills.
Okay.
The thing that I thought, the thing that it found that you guys need work in though is religious expectations.
Wow.
Now, I was like, okay. And he said, yeah, he asked me if I have any concerns. And I was like, it's not that I have concerns. I just want to know, that I'm making the right move, at the end of the day,
Oh,
and moving forward, because I know marriage is a big step.
oh,
And so what
huge.
he,
Huge. It could be life and death for some people. You know what I mean? Oh my
yeah,
goodness, it's
yeah,
huge.
yeah,
Salvation is on the line, but I mean, like yeah, because it could be misery for the rest of your life, right? Or for a long
yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I did this, just to make sure I was sure of myself. So after that, after the religious expectations part, I knew that, she was going to Bible study at the church. She was reading her Bible, she was praying, she was getting help for whatever she needed to get help for. So I
Good.
thought that, okay, things are, it's not perfect, it's not ideal, but
But
I can see God working in all of it. So I was confident, and I myself was praying as well
of
that God would continue to lead the way, because
oh, you better
this
be.
is my first time.
You better be. If you're not praying about it, I'm sorry for you. If
Yeah,
anyone, especially as a Christian, right?
yeah,
Because Christians,
yeah,
if we're not praying
mhm,
over our relationship, I don't know about
yeah,
you. When God
mhm.
approves, He puts His fingerprint, His signature on it, and that way you can move forward more confident, right?
Right, right. And I just want to add to that. So, um, I knew and I felt inside myself that she was the person for me, because we had a lot of things in common. The other thing too is that, though she wasn't perfect, what I had asked God for, and this was probably a mistake of mine and something I learned from, was I was naming all the stuff that I wanted this woman to have. But I should have known that, only God can know only God knows what you truly love, because he knows you better than you know yourself. So I said to God, I was like, God, I want a woman that's different. I want a woman that nobody knows a lot about, because I want her to be special just for me. Okay. I want her to be totally different. And he did, mind you, he did give that. He did provide someone, very, very, very different. And as time went along, I started to see, that a little bit more, how different she actually was. And so, come the day of the marriage, everything went well. The ceremony went well. It went smoothly.
Right.
This was during COVID, by the way, during 2020, the summer of 2020 in July. We had gotten
Okay.
married. We tied the knot. Just my immediate family and her immediate family. Now, there was something really interesting that I took note of, and sometimes sometimes you look at a situation and it's just like, what am I going to do here? You just say, okay, do I continue forward, or do I just cut the brakes and just cut it and just stop right there? And so the wedding day comes, and
Right.
then me and my brother were about to go up. My older brother, who's my
Yes, ma'am.
my man, my best man,
Yeah.
and we were about to go up, and then he was like, "Yo, where's her brother?" And then I was like, uh, bro, you're asking the wrong person, yo. He's just not coming for whatever reason.
Wow.
And he looks at me,
Wow.
he's like,
Wow.
what? And
Wow.
then I'm just like, bro,
Yeah.
I have no idea. Don't even ask me. And he's like,
I'm seeing some
all right.
family dysfunction already. Like
And
see
I was like,
from the
oh,
beginning, you know? Mhm.
yeah. And I was like, okay, all right. So then I was like, all right, let's do this. And then they called us up. We went up. And then the ceremony, everything went smoothly, giving the vows and everything like that. That all went well too. Then when we got married, so now we're married now. Okay, we're officially married. Everything, the dust is settled. Everything is good. Marriage
Right,
thing is over.
right, right,
And then we move into where we were supposed to move to, about 4 hours from where I'm originally from.
right.
We first day of marriage, I thought that this was also interesting. We woke up the next day after we got married,
Yeah.
and when we woke up, it was time for her to go to work. She was getting ready to go, and she realized the time, and she was like, "Why didn't you wake me up?" And I'm just like, uh I
Mm,
didn't realize. I thought that we were grown adults. I thought that, you're supposed to, wake yourself up, because I set an alarm for both of us, and I thought you were going to get up the same time as me. And then
mm,
she started giving me the silent treatment, and
mm.
I'm just like, what's going on here? What did I do something
That's too
wrong?
early to have that's too
It's
early
too
to have problems.
too early to have these
The
things
day
going
after?
on. And then
Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
then, as time went along, this was in the first year. So, so this was during COVID. So as you can imagine, everything is shut down, especially me as a chef, everything was shut down. All the restaurants were closed. You were
Mhm.
lucky to be able to go out to eat. When it came down to it, I was doing the cooking, I was cleaning, I was paying the bills. And then all I asked, because I understand people work and work gets busy, I get that.
Mhm.
But even if you can help out once a week. If we could split it so that I cook 1 week, you cook 1 week, and then we do it so that we both feel important. So that one person doesn't feel they have to do everything. I thought that that was fair. And
Mm,
then so I brought this to her attention, and then she was just like, "Well, you're the chef. You're supposed to be doing everything." And I'm just like, "Well, we're married, and you're supposed to be, contributing with me because we're a team. So you're supposed to help cook sometimes. You're supposed to help clean sometimes." And
mm,
I even said, if you could just get a broom and just sweep the floors once in a while. And then she's like, "Paul, this isn't this is the 1800s where women did." And I'm just like, "Whoa, I just asked you to do something very simple, just sweep the floor. I
mm,
didn't ask you to get down and scrub it. I just said just sweep the floor, just help me out a bit." And
mm,
then so she starts getting all offended and
mm,
starts scoffing at me and giving me attitude. And I'm just like, "Wait, what is going on?" So now I'm getting confused
mm,
because I'm just like, yo, I asked her, I was like, well, what's your problem? That's why I asked her. I'm like, "Do you have a problem?" And then she's like, "No, I just feel like you know everything and that I have to listen to you." I'm just like, "Well, you were the one who said to me from the beginning that because you know that I'm the husband, that you are going to follow my lead. And I said to you, if you were uncomfortable with any of those things, please do not sign on to be in marriage with me." I
mm,
even said, I was honest with her about that. I said,
mm,
if you don't want to, then don't do it. If you
mm,
feel like it's not for you, because living a life that pleases God is first in our lives, is what I said to her. And then she
mm.
started getting offended. And then she starts saying, "Oh, well, that's not how I live. I can't do this every day." And I'm just like, now I'm just looking around and I'm confused. Like,
And this
am I
is over
married?
house chores? This is over house chores. Right.
This was over something so simple and so
Yeah.
menial.
Yeah. And the
And
thing
so,
too, the sad reality
yeah,
is that this should have been discussed before marriage. You should discuss who's going to do what chores, who's going to and this is not just for you, but this is for everyone who wants to get married. That these
yeah,
these things need to be discussed, right? Because you
yeah.
don't want to be surprised, right?
We did discuss who was going to cook and all that before we even got married. It's just what you're going to learn about narcissism is that these are some of the things that they do. They make everything seem like puppies and rainbows, unicorns and butterflies before you
Okay.
get married or move in with them. And then what they do, that's when they know that they have you, that's when they start to devalue you and put you down, which is what we're going to talk about right now.
Oh boy. Oh
Okay.
boy. Oh.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
Let's get
'cause
into it.
I'm
Y'all
gonna
ready?
interject right now before you get really heavy. I did date a guy years ago, and within 3 weeks I was like, this guy is a narcissist, right? And I was like, God, get me out now, right? So I'm glad I picked up on it early, because some people don't pick up on it early, right? Because they don't. I don't believe a narcissist becomes one when you're married. I believe it's there. It's just more subtle.
Yeah,
It's kind of hidden a little bit. So yeah,
yeah,
so God got me out of that relationship. So talk about what happened. What were the signs? What did you notice?
yeah. So here's the thing. So I'm gonna fast forward to year two. So year two is actually when I started noticing that mask, that narcissist person coming out of my wife. This is what happened. Okay. All right. We're
Mm-hmm.
gonna start with first things first. So, as you all know, I'm a chef as well. That's what thing you guys should know. I'm a chef, and so the Red Seal certification designation is something that I really prided myself on getting. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so it took me about 4 tries to get it, and I'll be honest, it took me four
Yeah.
tries, but I persisted. I kept going, and she knew this. She knew this that this was important to me. I wrote that down as one of my goals. Okay,
Right.
and I ended up passing the exam, and she knew that I was going to get the results on the same day. So she already knew that at some point I was going to call her and let her know whether I passed or not.
Right.
And so what that same day when I passed, I started calling my family. They were happy for me. They wanted to celebrate for me. I called her family and they were so happy for me and they wanted to celebrate. And I said, "How should I break the news to her?" And they were like, "Call her at work." And I said, "Okay, I'll do that. I'll do that." So I called her at work and then I got on the phone with her. And then all I got was hello, not a, "Hey, honey, how are you?" It was just hello. And then I was like, hi. And then she was like, what's going on? And I'm just like, I have some really, really good news. And I'm excited because I want to tell my wife the news, right? And I'm on the phone. I'm like, I'm really excited to tell you I passed the exam.
Yeah, yeah.
And then all I got was, oh, okay. And then I was like, I'm sorry, did you hear what I just said? I
Yeah.
passed the exam. You know the exam we were talking about, that I was gonna get the results for, I passed. And then she said, that's great. And then I was like, is is am I missing something here? And
Right,
then
right, right.
I didn't say that on the phone, but I was like, what's going
Right, right, right.
on here? And then I was like, okay, well, I just wanted to I just wanted to call to tell you the big news.
Mm,
I was hoping that you would be a little bit more happy for me. But I
right.
guess I will see you when we get home. When you get home. And then she said, okay, bye, love you.
Uh,
Click. And then I was like,
yeah. That
I don't
that
know what that
that
was
will
about, but
sound right.
anyways, I tried to keep my composure, and then I
Mm,
was like, okay. Now she comes home, and then I was like, hello.
mm,
And then she was like, hi. And I was like, wife, babe, is there something going on? Did something happen at work? And
mm.
then she goes silent on me. And then she was like, she turns at me, and then she's like, do you know why I thought you were calling me? And I was like, why? And then she said, I thought you were calling me because there was an emergency, like you were going to the hospital. And I was like, no, I'm right here. I'm standing right here. If I was going to the hospital, you would be the first one to know. And
Mm-hmm.
then she walks away from me. She's like, oh, I just can't with you right now. And I'm just like, wrong. Did someone upset you at work? Did you have a bad day? Can we talk about it? And
Mm-hmm.
then she was like, oh, you don't understand. And I'm just like, all right, all right, all right. And then so then that's when I started noticing that something was really, really wrong. And
Oh,
I just couldn't put a finger on it. But guys, get this. This is narcissism. This is what narcissists do. They anytime you are doing something really well, they cannot celebrate. They can't love. They can't be with you
oh,
on that because they're too narcissists are jealous people. Okay?
oh.
So get this. Next thing that happened, that was just one instance, but I'm gonna go
Okay.
over three instances where I saw the narcissism come out.
Okay.
So second instance was this whole thing with the getting vaccinations. Everybody had different stances on that, respectfully.
Of
Okay,
course.
respectfully, we all had different stances on that.
Absolutely.
And so what we had discussed was that she wasn't going to get the vaccination because when we spoke about it, we because we live for God. That's what we decided we were not. I knew I was not getting that.
Right, right.
And we talked about it. And she's like, you know what? I'm not gonna get it. I'm not gonna do it. Okay. And I'm just like, okay, great. And
Mm-hmm.
then so one day I was at home and just going about my day. She comes home, and then I get the sense that something's off. Like even in the days before, I kept asking her, "Are you okay?" And then she was like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I'm good." I'm like, "Okay, just wanted to know if you're okay." And then I keep asking her this. I'm just like, "Why do I have to keep asking her this?" So, anyways, the day comes. She comes home and she's crying, and then she comes over to me. She has those eyes like something bad. Just she did something really real bad,
Mm-hmm.
and when she came over to me, my first gut feeling that I was starting to feel in my stomach and started inside my body was she got pregnant.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, Paul, you're analyzing things a little too much. And I'm just like, there's no way I could have because I know we've done all the things to make sure that doesn't happen. So there's no way.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then, so anyways, she says to me, and she's like, I need to tell you something. And I'm like, okay, go ahead, talk to me. What's up? And then she says, Paul, I got the vaccination. And I was like, you
Mm-hmm.
what?
Mm-hmm.
And then she was like, I went and got the vaccination. And I was like, okay. So at first I'm trying to stay composed. I'm trying to relax. I'm trying not to let the emotions bubble up to the surface and me blowing up. So I said, okay, just calm down, just calm down. And I was like, so I asked her, I was like, so why didn't you tell me before you were going to do that?
Right.
And here's the thing that narcissists do. They
Mm-hmm.
don't like to take accountability. So right in this situation here, I asked her, I was like, why didn't you tell me? And then she's like, I didn't tell you because I knew you were going to get mad at me. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
what? I'm not mad at you. I just want to know why you didn't tell me
Right.
because we discussed that you weren't going to do it. And then she said,
Right.
Paul, that's not what I said. I didn't say that. And that's another thing narcissists do. They
Okay.
like to gaslight you and make your perception of reality seem like it's not real.
Okay.
Okay. So at this point, I'm sort of distraught. I'm a little bit upset now
Yeah.
because now
Yeah.
she's saying that I'm so you know when somebody comes to you and says, I knew that you were gonna be upset, or they try to say that you're upset, but you're not upset, but then
Right.
now you are upset because they're
Right.
trying to make it seem like you're upset. That's exactly what was happening right there and then.
Oh,
And so then
oh,
she storms off. She gets up and she just walks away from me. She just storms off and runs away. And
right.
I'm just like, where are you going? And then she's just
Right.
like, well, you don't think I'm not good enough for you. And I'm just like,
Where did that come
talking
from?
about?
Yeah.
Where did that come from? Now we're
Yeah.
talking, we went from talking about why you did it to you think you're not good enough. What does this
Yeah.
have to do with anything? And
Exactly.
then
That's
she
like a
gets up, she
total
puts
left
her
field.
clothes on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then she gets up, she puts her clothes on, and then she tries to walk out of the house. And then I'm just like, where are you going? And then she
Mhm.
says, I don't know where I'm going, but clearly you don't care about me. And I'm just like,
Wow.
talking
Wow.
about?
Wow.
And and this is what narcissists do. They cannot
Okay.
take accountability for their own actions. So,
Okay.
having said all those things, guys, I'm
Right.
gonna go to the last point, but then I'm gonna go really quickly into narcissistic behavior. I'm gonna go and explain it.
Okay.
One thing that she said to me when the ending of our marriage was going to happen, what she said to me, and make sure that y'all are careful because I
Right.
hope for every one of you,
Mm-hmm.
married people or not, that nobody ever says any of this to any of you guys. What
Mm-hmm.
she said to me when it came to the ending was, Paul, I was never in love with you. I
Mm-hmm.
can't fall in love. And
Oh,
right there, it was a shock to me. And I
oh,
was just like, I didn't know what to say, if I should hit somebody, if I should hit something.
wow.
But
Wow.
she said that to me.
Can't
And I
fall
was
in
like,
love.
all right.
That's
I was like, okay.
wow.
So,
Because I'm
okay,
trying to
I'm
process
gonna,
that. That one hit me hard. I can't fall in love with you. Um, and she's never fallen in love. Is that what you're saying?
yeah,
Okay, I
yeah,
can
that's
understand
what she
if she
said.
had
I
never
can't love.
fallen in love. I can understand that
Yeah,
because it's always a first for everybody. At some point,
yeah.
you do. But I can't fall in love. Okay, that's a choice that she made, obviously. And that's
Yeah,
probably why she was crying hysterically at the wedding trying to sign her name because she knew what she was getting into, right?
that's actually a really good point. That's a really good point. Now having talked about that, we're gonna go into some things about narcissism. So,
Okay.
here's the thing, guys. So,
Mm-hmm.
narcissist. When we hear the word narcissist, what comes to mind and what we think of is someone who stares in the mirror and looks at themselves too long. That's what you get when you hear what is a narcissist, someone who stares in the mirror and looks
Right.
at themselves and admires themselves. Okay,
Right.
that's okay. That's just a little sliver of it, though.
Right.
Did you know? Did you know that there is something that's actually called NPD, also known as narcissistic personality disorder? It's actually a disorder, believe it or not.
Yeah. Oh, it
Um,
is.
it's
Absolutely.
it's a mental health condition in which someone has an unreasonably high sense of their own importance.
Mm,
Characteristics of this disorder include, and pay attention, please,
mm,
include needing and seeking too much attention,
mm,
wanting
mhm,
people to admire them,
mhm,
and lacking the ability to understand or being able to care about one's feelings. So in
mm.
other words, they can't empathize. They can't be
Okay.
empathetic.
Okay.
Sounds crazy, doesn't it? I know, it sounds crazy. And
Mm,
I've only learned about this over the past 2 or 3 years. So
right.
there are layers and a glossary of terms to this associated with this disorder
Right.
and are very important to get familiar with in order to understand. So I'll be touching on them. So just follow along. So before
Okay.
I do that though, before I get into it, just know that narcissists come in variety of races,
Mhm,
genders,
Right, right, right,
Families, it could be a
right.
spouse, a
Good.
husband, a wife, a parent, a child, a brother, a sister, a
Yeah.
boss, a person in the church, an
Wow.
uncle, an aunt, a grandparent, a cousin, a
Yeah.
colleague, best friend, etc., etc. These people
Everybody.
are all around us now, y'all.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I don't say this lightly. You could very well be a narcissist or know someone close to
Right.
you who is in fact a narcissist.
Right.
Some common questions that I get asked a lot are as follows. One
Mm-hmm.
question I get is, how do I know if someone is a narcissist?
Okay.
Answers. There are two ways to know this if someone's a narcissist, spot that
Okay.
I'm going to go into.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, if they show any or all the characteristics I mentioned in the definition that you guys were hopefully paying attention to, if
Right.
they show any of those characteristics, that's number one. Number two, if you say no, the
Yeah.
word no, because believe it or not, the word, and I'm going to go into this a little bit. If you say no to them, to
Yeah.
anyone, and they respond with disrespect. So, for
Okay.
example, what is disrespect though? Example, they start to ignore you, they start to ghost you, they start to blame you, they
Right.
start putting you down, they start making threats, they start to invalidate you, etc.
Right. 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 Right.
That's how you can tell that something is not right and they could potentially be a narcissist.
Okay.
Now, if it's someone I depend on, how do I deal with them on a day to day? So, for example, when I say someone to depend on, if it's somebody that's, for example, if I live with my dad or my mom, they've been paying my way through life, or I
Right.
live with my spouse, my husband or wife who's the breadwinner, and I can't afford to get away from them, how do I deal with them on an everyday? The answer, number one, is
Mm-hmm.
to slowly get this, pay attention,
All right.
slowly start distancing yourself and develop an exit plan to remove yourself from them. So what
Okay.
I mean by that is do not explain to them what you are going to do. This is for you, this is for yourself, for your own self-care.
Right.
So
Right.
you got to do what you have to do to get away from them slowly.
Right.
Number two, if you have kids and have to be under the same roof and you don't have a choice,
Right.
become dull and boring and keep everything short to the point. So, for example, you give
Okay.
one word answer, mundane talk, and you just be closed off. The word for that I want you guys to take down, it's called gray rocking. That's what gray rocking is.
Oh,
Becoming
that's a new
dull
word for
and
me.
boring as a rock, that's gray. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
All
that's
right.
what it is.
Yeah.
Now the third question is, will or can a narcissist change? The
Mm,
answer to that, unfortunately, guys, I know you guys, some of y'all might be shaken by this answer. The answer is no. They
oh,
are the person that they are in mind and body, and they decided that they weren't going to want to change themselves. That
right.
is their own. So the answer is no, they cannot change. Now, I
Unless
want
the
to
Holy
say,
Spirit does a miraculous
yeah,
change. Yeah. Yeah.
right. Now, keep in mind, I wanted to go back to this when I said, remember when guys when I said if you say the word no, that the word no is a complete sentence. I want to go
Right.
back to that.
Okay.
No is the strongest word in the English language. For
Right.
when you say no to something or someone, you are actually saying yes to yourself
Good.
because you're telling the person or the situation that you care about yourself and you're setting boundaries. And
Good.
that's another thing that
Good.
narcissists do not like. So when
Wow.
you yourself set a boundary, when
Yeah.
you tell them that these are my boundaries, this is what's important to me, and
Mm,
this is what I don't like, narcissists get angry when people
mm.
set boundaries because they can't have boundaries. They can't have somebody caring about themselves and thriving and doing better than them. They just can't have that. They
Yeah.
can't have that. All right.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna go into some of the glossary of terms, guys. I encourage you to take these down because these are very instrumental to figuring out and tacking on narcissists and figuring them out
Okay.
before it's too late.
Okay.
This is how we arm ourselves. All right, let's get to it. So the first term that we're gonna go through is called manipulation. Now I'm sure
Oh,
some of y'all have heard this word
yes.
about a million times throughout the past couple of years. So what is manipulation?
Right.
Manipulation is to twist or change the narrative of the truth in
Mm,
a situation or in a talk with someone. So for example, You tell someone that their outfit looks nice, looks amazing. You have an amazing outfit, for example. And
Right.
then that person said that you said that their outfit looks ugly and that they are unattractive. That is manipulation
Oh, huge.
because
That's a
they
flat
just,
lie.
yeah,
That's a lie. Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Because you just
yeah, yeah.
changed exactly what they said. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then second example is you tell someone you love them, but
Mm-hmm.
then they say you said you hate me. But then you're like, no, I said I love you. And now now it's all twisted because they're manipulating you. They're trying to alter your brain so that you don't think that way. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
This is manipulation. Write this
Mm-hmm.
down. Number two,
Mm-hmm.
gaslighting. Gaslighting.
Mm-hmm.
What is gaslighting? What is that? It's
Right.
a form of emotional abuse to make someone question their reality of a situation, making them doubt themselves. For example, you say to someone, "We will be leaving tomorrow," and then they say that you said, "We will be leaving next week." And
Mm-hmm.
now you're scratching your head saying, "No, I didn't say that." And now you're confused. Now you're trying to make an excuse for their behavior. And then what
Right.
happens when you know what usually happens when people gaslight other people? The person, the victim who's being gaslit, that person ends up being the person that says sorry
Right.
because they're saying sorry for something they did not do. And this
Right.
is what narcissists thrive on. They want people to bow down to them and they want people to say sorry for things that they did not do. Okay?
So let me
This is
ask you
gaslighting.
something. I thought gaslighting, maybe
Go
I have
ahead.
it wrong. I thought gaslighting was when I'm
Go ahead.
texting you or calling you and you don't respond and I don't hear from you for hours or days. Is that also gaslighting or is that something else?
That is not gaslighting, but we're that's what's called ghosting.
Oh, ghosting. Okay.
That's ghosting. But
Uh,
we're gonna get into that, I promise. But
okay.
that's a good point though. That's a
Okay.
good point though. That's gaslighting. So now we're gonna go into the third one, which is called blame shifting. I encourage you guys to
Oh,
write all this down. Blame
wow.
shifting. Blame shifting. What is blame shifting? It means to place blame on someone when they have been confronted for something they know that they did, so for something they know they did. So, for example,
Mm,
you say to someone, I felt that you were being very mean when you said whatever you said. And
mhm,
then instead of apologizing, they say, you're also very mean. You made fun of me a couple of days ago, dodging accountability and shifting the blame onto you. This
mm,
is another thing that narcissists love to do. They like
mm,
to shift the blame. They don't get, guys, there's something I want you to really pay attention to in these definitions.
mhm.
Narcissists do not like to be told no. That's number
Right.
one. And
Yeah.
the second thing is that narcissists do not like to take accountability for their own actions. They do
Right.
not, they can't. It's impossible for a narcissist to own up and say, I'm sorry. They will not do that. Okay. So
Okay.
this is blame shifting. Example two with blame shifting. I'm gonna give another example is you say to someone, I don't feel like I'm being heard. And then instead of apologizing, they say, maybe you should listen instead. I also feel like I'm not being heard. And now you're wondering, now you're scratching your head like,
Mhm.
wait, this is about me. This isn't about you. And now the whole thing has been twisted and confused. And
Right.
this is
Right.
what narcissists thrive on.
Mm.
Number four, number four is what's called a rage fit. What is a
What?
rage fit? A
Rage
rage fit.
fit. Oh, okay, okay.
Rage fit.
Oh, okay. Wow, wow, that's heavy.
A rage fit is to go into a sudden burst of anger.
Okay,
Just a sudden burst of anger. So, for example,
right,
you say to someone, let's finish this conversation. And then they scream, no, just leave me alone. And then you haven't done anything wrong to them. So they just throw a rage fit on you.
right,
Example two, you say to someone, you should do it this way. And then they scream, you're so stupid. And then you have done nothing wrong. So that's
right,
another thing narcissists do. They will throw a rage fit at you for no reason. And they
right,
will say, oh, it's your fault when it's not your fault.
right,
Okay?
right, right.
That's a rage fit. That's number four. Number five, triangulation. Oh my gosh. This is triangulation.
Triangulation. Man, I'm learning some serious stuff here.
Oh, oh,
Mm-hmm.
all right. What's triangulation? Triangulation is to passively validate someone else while invalidating someone else. To
Mm-hmm.
passively validate someone else while invalidating someone else. What does this look like? What's an example of triangulation? Number one, you are out on a date with your husband or your wife, and or sorry, in this case, I just said husband as an example. You're
Okay.
on a date with your husband, and your husband says to the waitress, "That is very nice of you to have good manners," even
Mhm.
though he knows you treat him well and have great manners. So, what he's doing is he's bringing a third party, including in this case, the waitress,
Mhm.
into your marriage, and he's trying to drive a wedge between you and the marriage and your
Mhm.
husband. He's trying to bring that waitress in hopes that that waitress will say, "I know," and then that waitress will they will bond, and then you will be kicked to the curb.
Okay. Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Num
I'm learning some serious stuff, man. Jeez.
okay. Number two, example number two. You're with your family. Your mom says to her son in front of her other sons, "You are a great son. You guys should be more like him," even though other sons
Mm.
are also great. So that's triangulation. You're
Okay.
taking a bunch of people, and then what you're doing is you're pitting them against each other so
Right.
that they never figure out being triangulated. This is what narcissists do so that you now feel inadequate and you don't feel good
Wow.
about yourself. This is what narcissists to anybody. Okay. So
Wow.
that's triangulation. Number six, there's another one that's called projection.
Okay.
What is projection? It's to tell someone something they are not doing that you are doing. So for
Oh,
example,
wow.
number one,
Ah,
he or she he or she cheated on you and they say you are such a cheater even though you didn't cheat. So what they're doing is their bad traits onto you. They're saying that they are cheating, but they are saying that you are cheating. So they're making it seem as though they're the good person. Does
right.
that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay. Example two. I like to give two examples just
Okay.
so that if one doesn't make sense, it'll make sense. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Example two. He or she stole money from you, and then they say, "You are such a thief," even though you know you didn't steal anything. So they're projecting their bad traits onto you so that they can dodge accountability for their actions. That's what projection is. Now, number seven is something that's interesting that a lot of people have never heard of. It's this thing called object
Oh,
constancy.
wow. Oh
What
boy.
is object constancy? It's when someone takes a situation and only applies it to the now and doesn't appreciate anything else you do for them. So, for
Mhm.
example, if you always treat he or she with respect, and then they say, "I hate everything about you and I don't want to talk to you anymore about anything," he or she can seem to not take the focus from the object and be relatable.
Mhm.
Number two, I'm going to give a second example. Maybe some of y'all missed it. You
Okay.
forget to tell someone something, and you know you rarely forget. And then they say, "You always forget everything. Can't even
Right.
remember a simple thing." And then they go on and on and on without thinking or being relatable to what you did. So in other words, they're ungrateful. Object constancy is showing that ungratefulness. It's in essence. They
Okay.
can't they can't see any good in anything you do.
Okay.
And
Okay.
this is what narcissists thrive on. They want to beat you down with their tactics so that you feel inadequate about yourself. Now, we're going to talk about number eight. Number eight is stonewalling.
Oh
What is
boy.
stonewalling? You guys have probably heard of this before. So stonewalling is to intentionally shut down or just shut someone out or the situation out, to shut someone out completely.
Okay.
Now, an example of stonewalling is you are having a disagreement
Okay.
and the other person abruptly goes silent on you. They
Mm.
just abruptly just go silent on you
Mhm.
without explanation, and they just stop talking to you for days on end. That's what stonewalling is.
Boy.
They put a stone wall in between you guys, and all
Wow.
of a sudden it's just like, whoa, right?
Like what happened? Like,
Okay,
yeah.
that's stonewalling.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. So now Angie, this is the one that you were trying to bring up a moment ago, and I'm gonna talk about it now. Number nine, excuse me, is called silent treatment.
Okay. That's the ghosting.
That's the one that you were trying to talk about. What is silent treatment? It's when someone goes silent on another person as a form of punishment when the
Mm,
other person is just trying to reason. An
mm,
example is you say to someone, "Can you tell me what you are doing right now?" And then they don't respond, even though you are right next to them. That is what's called the silent treatment. Or, example two, you say to someone, "Did you put the books in the room?" And
mhm,
then they don't respond, even though you are right next to them. So, see, this is what narcissists do. They like to put the silent treatment on people because they want to throw them off balance. They want what the narcissist hopes to accomplish by going silent on people is for
mhm.
that person to want to know. They again, I want to emphasize this. Narcissists, they want people to want them. They want people
Okay,
thinking about where they are, what they're doing, so that then the narcissist can invalidate them. So it's strange, isn't it? It's very tricky and
okay,
tipsy turvy, isn't it? It's
right.
whacked. It's weird.
Yeah, it is.
This is
Yeah.
but this is what narcissists do. These are their tactics. So
So they don't have enough self-confidence in themselves, or they don't know who they are in Christ, so they try to get that through other people in various forms. It's like they're
right,
always hungry for some form of attention in some various ways, or they don't want to take accountability on their bad actions, so they project it
right.
on you. That just seems like the gist of it. If I'm making sense, I don't know if I am.
No, no, you are 100%, 100%. We're
Mm,
gonna go into the next what number 10.
okay.
Smear campaign.
Oh, wow.
Smear campaign.
Oh, man.
Uh-oh.
Oh, boy.
What is a smear campaign? What is a smear campaign? A
Mm,
smear campaign is when someone or the narcissist
mm,
goes around to everyone you know. This includes
mm,
family members, cousins, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, business, workplace, friends, their own people, and
mm.
tells them lies and secrets and made up stories about you, the victim. Then,
Wow.
before you know it, wedges are being driven, and all those people you once knew now hate you and are taking sides with the narcissist. This happens all throughout the relationship or the marriage with them. But many times we don't know that this is actually happening
Right.
because we believe that this person we're in a relationship or we're married to, that person is a person that loves us and would never do anything to
Mm,
try and destroy us. But
mm.
the truth is the narcissists, they do it all throughout their lives, but they do it without people knowing in a very insidious way.
Okay.
So that's a smear campaign. So beware of a smear campaign.
Oh, wow.
The next one, number 11,
Mm.
number 11 is called future faking.
Oh, my Lord. I
Future
love this
faking. This is
title.
number 11. Future faking.
Future faking. Oh,
Future faking. What is future faking? Future faking is when someone makes a promise to you and then in the end doesn't come through and gives no explanation as to why. So, for
wow.
example, you've known someone or the narcissist for some time and you ended up dating and they say, "I will take care of you."
Okay.
And then they cheat on you without explanation.
So they
So
say
they
they're going to
give
take
you
care
that
of you.
assurance that they love you and that they care about you.
Right. But they don't, basically. They say they're going to take care of you, but
Yeah.
actions show that they
But
don't.
it doesn't even have to be care. It's just they say, for example, they could also say, "I'm gonna be your husband, I'm gonna be your wife for the rest of your life."
Mm-hmm.
And then weeks later you find out that they're nowhere to be found.
Mm,
That's future faking.
mm,
Okay?
mm-hmm,
Okay. Number 12,
mm-hmm.
isolation. What
Oh,
is isolation?
that one I
Some
know
of
about.
y'all might have Some of y'all might have heard this term before, but we're going to
Mm-hmm,
go into it. So, isolation is when someone takes you far away with them from all of your resources in order to devalue you insidiously. So, for example, you are dating someone and they want to move to somewhere different and assure you that it's a great place and ends up being a place you hate, but you just stay because you like love and have feelings for this person. And now they start applying all the things in the glossary of terms that I've mentioned.
Mm.
That's what isolation is. Because the thing is, the reason why narcissists isolate people is because what they hope to accomplish, they do it because now when they've isolated you, now you're away from everything that matters to you, your support system,
Right,
your family, your friends, all your resources. They take those away from you so
right,
that they can then devalue you
right,
without anybody knowing.
right, right,
Okay.
right.
Now, number 13, reactive. Now, number 13, reactive abuse. What is reactive abuse? Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Reactive abuse is actually a very dangerous one. And this is actually one that happens not just with narcissists, but this happens with a lot of people way more than anyone thinks. So, what
Right,
is reactive abuse? Reactive abuse is when someone or the narcissist
right,
says something to you and
right.
gets you to react and then
Okay.
puts you down for reacting to their reaction.
Oh, so it's like a setup.
So it's a setup.
Ah,
That's what it is. Essentially, it's a setup. So, for example,
okay.
someone someone says, "I don't think you are smart," and then you say, "I know 1 plus 1," and then they say, "Yeah, but you don't know anything else." And now there's back and forth, and will not stop unless you're the one who apologizes. So this
Mm,
is what they like confusion and they like conflict and they like to they always want to be at the top. They always want to be in
mm,
control. They can never just be. They can't just be satisfied with what they have. They
mhm,
always have to want something more from you, which is what we're also going to go into here. Number 14,
mhm.
we're going to touch on another one you wanted to talk about, Angie. This
Okay.
one is called ghosting.
Yes, yes,
Ghosting.
yes.
This is number 14, ghosting.
Okay.
What is ghosting? Ghosting is when someone or the narcissist stops speaking to you and has
Right,
nothing to do with you for the amount of time that they decide.
right.
Now, ghosting is very similar to the silent treatment. The only difference between ghosting is that now you're a ghost and you just disappear
Yeah, right,
completely. So, an example, you say to someone, "I don't feel like we are on the same page." And then they give you the silent treatment and stop talking to you. They
right.
don't answer you and they disappear from you for as long as they decide. This is what goes, and this
So
happens
they
a
go
lot.
together then. So the silent treatment and ghosting can go together.
They can go
Yes,
together. They can
right.
go together. So
Okay.
that's what ghosting is. All right, number 15. We're coming down to
Wow.
the wire here, y'all. So really, really pay attention. Really pay attention.
Wow. Yeah, I'm learning lots. Yeah.
Okay, so number 15, it's called I call this one goal posting.
Goal. Okay.
Posting.
GOAL. Okay.
Yeah, goal posting, moving the
Okay.
goalpost.
Okay.
Yep, yep. So what is goal posting? Goal posting is
Uh-huh.
when someone or the narcissist asks you to do something or you do something for someone and then they keep making unreasonable requests for you to do more. They keep
Oh,
on, so you
wow.
do one thing for them and then they keep raising the bar. And it's like you can never have any stability. You can't reach that level they keep asking you to reach. And then before you know it, you are now burnt out
Mm,
because you can't, because no one humanly can reach anything that the narcissist wants to ask of them
mm.
because nobody's perfect. So, what's an example of goal posting? Someone asks you to clean their room for them, you do it,
Right. Right.
and then they ask you to clean the whole garage for them, you do
Right.
it.
Right.
And then when you ask them to do something for you,
You're
what do you
gone.
get?
Nothing.
That's right. You get all or most of the things in the glossary of terms as your response. You don't get nothing.
Wow.
This is what narcissists do to drain their victims. They want to
Mm,
take everything from them until there's nothing left to take. And
wow.
eventually, the victim is now burnt out because they have nothing left to give.
Wow.
This
Wow.
is what goal posting is. Okay.
Wasn't that an epic interview? Yeah, I agree. I'm sure you learned a few things. Don't tell me you didn't. Now, he continues on in part two. See the link below. You will see part two as he finishes off, and then he gives you the secret formula of how they operate. There's four things that you will notice. Please, 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 not only watch part two, but share this video to people, at least 10, because you're going to start noticing that a lot of people are going to see these characteristic traits in someone they know. At least 1 out of 50 has these characteristics. Let's get wise, let's learn, let's grow together. See you in part two.